welcome back. So this is the only tutorial of the workshop, if I remember it well. If you have any questions, I think it's better to ask during the talk, just in case, so that you get the other points. But it's I will not go too deep into coding or R or other languages, and I will be available then via email, or if you want to chat, or we also have a website with Martin on which we post some tutorials. So if you want to use that, we'll be happy to answer your questions today or later. So at first, I will give a few examples of what we do with Twitter, with TweetR, with R, this statistical software who is becoming more and more famous and used in academics. Then I will explain a bit some stuff about the Twitter API, that we've seen that in some previous presentations, so maybe I will not go too deep into the subject. Then we will discuss this Twitter package, and we'll give some examples of what can be done, and the fact that it can be done just in time, and then conclusion questions. So this is the first example of something we can do with Twitter. So we, in this case, we've grabbed tweets containing the hashtag ENLD, which corresponds to a Swiss radio show. This is a debate radio show, and the day before, people on Twitter can discuss, debate, and the ideas are then read or evocated on air. And sometimes even people are invited to discuss, or to discuss via an app. So in this case, we can see when people tweet. The question is given at 6, around 6 usually. And in this case, a lot of people discuss and debate at the beginning, and then it's maybe the question is not interesting enough, or there are no people who, it's not enough polarized. So nothing happens then. People don't tweet at night, and then people tweet during the show, and then nothing during the day. In this case, it's distributed differently. So this tool gives us a way to visualize that, and then to have some intuition on what to study if you want to understand how the debate happened and how it, Another example, up. This is also about the same radio show. In this case, we can see when people tweet, and this is not very precise. It's a whole week, in fact, from Wednesday to Wednesday, and the 24 hours of a day. And the corpus in this case, the set of tweets is very restricted, but this can be easily done with real big data. This is a famous example from last US elections. Twitter, in collaboration with Top-C, created or elaborated an index who was giving prediction about the presidentials. According to what people were tweeting, who were mentioned, what were the words with which you were mentioned as a candidate, and also the number of retweets. Sadly, I didn't find the algorithm, but this is an interesting tool which uses the content of the tweets. So this is something we can do, but at maybe a smaller scale. But this is because of the Twitter API restrictions. The last example, this is the same radio show, and in this case you can visualize who mentions whom. We also have an unlimited version, because in this case there is a 24 hours interval, so we don't really get how we came to this point. But still, this is the end of the debate: who mentions whom, who is popular, who is retweeted, and those kind of questions, and so on. So, Twitter. We've talked about Twitter before. There are many ways to retrieve tweets, like Tweet Backup, Tweet Archivist, or Topsy has its own archive that you can ask. There is still a trick to create an RSS with Twitter using Yahoo pipes. This is a way to get a stream about a hashtag or mentions of someone. And there's also the if this then that, this website who provides scripts that are really easy to access, and in this case you can, for example, if you want to retrieve tweets, you can subscribe to this website, choose the script you're interested in, and for example send all the tweets about a hashtag or mention, or your own tweets or your favorites or whatever, to your Evernote account, to your Dropbox account, to your Gmail account, or whatever. This is maybe it's easier to use than Yahoo pipes. But anyway, with those tools you don't have all you want. You cannot exactly reach or obtain big data. So there is, at the opposite, another solution, which is just to question the Twitter API. In this case, you can reach it via the dev.twitter.com website. And there are a few different APIs depending on what you want. You can ask questions with the GET API, or you can stream hashtags, stream different subjects. And in this case, you will need some PHP or other languages notions. And this is a bit more complicated than the third-party applications, and less, but still more complicated than using R. But this is still a solution. This is a better solution if you want to study Twitter corpuses and you can make team with a computer scientist. You should definitely choose this solution. This is an example of the code our colleague used to retrieve the tweets. And this is what you get in the end. It's pretty impossible to read, but even if you could, it would still be difficult to read. So in this case, this is a tweet. And in this case, we have the ID of the tweet, we have the timestamp of the tweet. We can know if it's a reply to someone, and contained here are also information about the one who tweeted. And in between those two solutions, the third-party applications and the Twitter API, there is an R package which lets you obtain a lot of data and have them in a much better format. So this is what I'm going to present now. So just for information, this is the website of the R program, and this is where you can download it. R is a platform. It's a complicated object. It's at the same time a statistical software for data analysis. It's also a programming language, very close to many other languages. You don't have, if you are used to coding, you don't have much to learn. And if you are not used to coding, it's really easy to access. An environment for statistical analysis. At the beginning, it was an open source version of the S program, which is based on much work from John Tukey, who was a great statistician. And R has the advantage to be an open source software, and there is a worldwide huge community of statisticians and other academics who discuss a lot, who develop a lot of packages, and they help one another answering questions via online communities, via a mailing list or Stack Overflow or Quora, as I cited here. Okay, so those are some of the tools you can use if you have questions or you need to get some ideas or an idea about what is possible with R. So now we'll go on the more precise subject of Tweed R. This is how we install it. So the first time you use it, you need to use the function install.packages, and then enter Tweed R, taking into account the caps and the fact that it's a character chain. This has to be done only once, and then you have to load it. Once it's installed on your computer, you have to load it via the library function. This is something you have to do every time, except if you have a Mac with a GUI. And in this case, you can decide that the library is loaded every time, but this is the thing. This is an example of what you get when you use the main function, which is a search tweeter. And in this case, you can see who writes. I've looked for the hashtag of the workshop, and I've asked for only 5 answers. And we can see who is the author, his username, and then the text. And in fact, in each of these objects are contained a lot more of information. We will see how to get this information now. But just before, sorry, there are a few other options with this search tweeter function. So, for example, you can choose to search with giving some date limits. This was very useful before they restricted the API to 7 to 8 days. But still, this can let us see what was discussed before today, before the workshop. There are a lot of options which are due to the Twitter search format. And in this case, if I want to look for this expression, I space am space happy, I will need into the query field to define this new character chain. But then it let us find everything we want. All the tweets containing exactly I am happy, this sequence. This is given by the Twitter website. Those are other options which are recognized by the search Twitter function of this R package. This is here just for information. You can find this when you use Twitter search. Oh, this is a bit too small, but anyway. And then with this object, with what we get from the search Twitter function, we can transform it into a data frame. A data frame is the most common object in R. if you study a corpus like that. And in this case, we can see the 10 fields of the tweet class, which are the text. Then is it a favorited tweet? Is it a reply to someone? The timestamp? Is it truncated? But now this is not useful anymore because I think that Twitter have restricted this option. This I don't remember what it is. This is the ID of the tweet. The tool that was used to send the tweet. In this case, you can see this is the web interface or the TweetDeck tool, and the screen name who sent this tool, this tweet. So, in order to give you an idea of what can be done and in how much time, I've created a few examples from what we've discussed this morning and yesterday. So those are the words that are used in the, I think, the 300 tweets that were sent from yesterday with containing the JITSO 12 hashtag. This is when we wrote. So as we can see, there were a few discussions yesterday using the hashtag. In fact, the discussions were about which hashtag to use. And then we can see the beginning of the workshop and the keynote, during which a lot of people wrote. Then the pause and the rest of the conference. So this is a tool which let us really easily have good visualization and then apply some statistical methods. But I will just stay on the visualization part. This is the exchanges of this morning. The igraph who made some advertisement. It's so difficult to read. Maybe this is Frederick. This is Martin. And this is Anna. Okay, but anyway, the code to do this is available on our website. So you will be able to do your own, and I will try to do one at 6 or 7 using the hashtag, but this is just a detail. Other directions. So since this is a tutorial, I didn't produce any original results, but those are possible ways to use this package. For example, if you are into social network analysis, especially on dynamics, you can try to recognize some patterns and observe cascades or the diffusion of different trends or dot trends. You can do text mining on the content of the tweets. Prediction, like in the Twitter and .c example, or you can also use it a lot with geolocation. The only limit in this case is that you have to retrieve the tweets using the PHP command with the Twitter API, because Twitter doesn't retrieve geolocation for the moment. Well. So those are a few of the references. It will be available in the slides. And thank you for your attention. If you have any questions.
Now that you understood everything, we can make maybe at the end of the session a small exercise. Okay. I hope you understood that. I mean, one of the interesting thing is that it's sufficiently, these workflow that can be done in R, not so, Yannick is not a computer scientist himself, and so I should insist on that. They're sufficiently reliable to produce results really in real time. Not that you do some tweaking at the end where you have rough result, but you have to adjust like 10 parameters to get something right. Here, it's actually something that can be used automatically, which means that it can be seen as a workflow on which other things can be fed, and I think that's an interesting idea. Questions, Marta?
Question one is very basic. Are you using this package on your Mac or on Linux? Do you know if there are some problems with libraries, charging or Mac for using this? The second question is about the geolocalization. You are treating just the tweets that they are geolocalized, or you know if it's also recuperated the description. You know, in the description you can add a location and you database it in coordinate, geographical coordinate.
Okay, so in the first case, I know that there are a lot of problems with the Windows version, but the Linux and the Mac version of R and the packages, they work well. About geolocation, I haven't dealt with this situation because in our case, we have identified a lot of users depending on some conditions, and then we get all the tweets, and about 5% of them have the geolocation
So it's just
option.
the map from the
Other questions?
I started to think how this using of this analysis of Twitter and similar things can change the communication in science. Because of don't need to do some paleontology of these things, it would be fruitful to higher the speed of scientific exchange. It means after using such tools for quick analysis, just-in-time analysis, it could be very fruitful to have some media for really just-in-time scientific exchange. Something like 2 pages long speed analysis of this using of these data sets, which can start to very speed exchange of which can come to some collaboration in days, not in months. Can you, Frederick, or you expect how can it change the scientific community if something like this would happen?
You want me to comment on that? Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's question
There's actually something that must be made clear, that there's really two things which have different issues. I mean, something which is very valuable in using relatively simple system like R is that, I mean, it's possible to send to someone the actual data acquisition procedure, and so it can be inspected. Maybe if there's an error or bias in it, it can be seen, etc., etc. But we've seen this morning that all that is dependent also on the API, and you may, I mean, not everything is actually mastered, so you may get different answers depending on the behavior of the tweeters. And something is clear is that if you take the same algorithm and reuse it a year later, you will not get probably the same result. And so we're back to the digital paleontology issue of this morning, and so there's a need to actually save the corpora which are created on the one hand, so that people can actually perform analysis on these corpora, and to document the way they were created through these particular process, even if they cannot be reacquired anymore. Also the team of Jean-Marc Franconi also in Grenoble, we had long discussion on this issue, because there needs to be a form of epistemology or paradata, as it's called. I mean, paradata is the data about the technical and intellectual processes which are underlying your research. And so we still need to find the right ways to make this study reproducible, and it's not because as everything is not mastered and they are private systems, it's not completely trivial. Yeah. Other comment on that particular issue? Or? Yeah.
I think one of the constraints is also that the data is not owned by us.
Yeah.
So we are not allowed to share data freely.
Oh, you mean you may not be allowed to share it? I mean, that because there's two issues in the fact of not being owned by us. I mean, there's the fact of there's a technical issue in the sense that the methodological part of a research paper then cannot. It's actually depending on a third party, which make it difficult to reproduce. And then there's a question of rights. What you suggest is that actually even a subset of a corpora re-diffusing it with your paper could be an issue in terms of legal right.
This issue is rejected by Twitter, the version. They do not want people exchanging copies.
So now the state is that if you actually have a paper and you say that my data is available at this address, you're actually having a copyright issue on this. Interesting.
So it could be that
So we should reboot Twitter. I mean, okay.
visualization becomes the only source then. If the data goes away, the raw data goes away, visualization becomes the original.
Oh, that could be also. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's true. But I guess the fight for at least reclaiming the right of reusing the data that was produced is not a finished one. I mean, this situation is obviously unacceptable. I mean, all the tweets were produced by people, and the fact that there are some licensing agreement that implicitly link the copyright to the media itself. I mean, this of course has some. I mean, we can understand why Twitter wants to protect itself on the other hand, but these are some side effects which are not acceptable as such. Yeah.
Wasn't there from the Library of Congress? They planned to store all the Twitter data.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know what is the legal. I mean, the fact that it's stored from the Library of Congress do not necessarily solve the legal issue. I mean, to give you an example, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France is storing the whole French web for several years, although this cannot be accessed through a web page because of copyright reason. So you have to access it through. You have to go physically to the Bibliothèque Nationale de France to access the web as it was 3 years ago. But that's something that makes sense because in some sense there are some things there which are not owned by. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. I'd like to know how large can these two packages work? How large the
data
could this system R can system R cope with huge data?
Yes, it can. In the case of the network, it's limited to a few hundreds, thousands nodes, and in the case of the data frames, I don't really know about a limit, but in this case, you would save everything in different files and load them, then erase them. It's often used for big data, but there are some memory limits, like with any program. So
I suppose you need big memory to host all the data.
Yeah, storage memory in particular.